So this is a request by one of the viewers to do a cleaning video on the A400 Extreme Plus. So this is far and away my favorite shotgun out of all the shotguns that I have, and I'm going to do a quick cleaning video on it, but I would like to say that this is a really well built and tough shotgun, and I don't take as good a care of it as I probably should. I've got thousands of rounds through this thing. I sit out in the rain with it constantly, and I have never had a single feeding issue with this shotgun, even though I really don't take care of it. So you do need to take care of your shotgun. You do need to clean it, but I just want everyone to know that there's not a whole lot of worry with this gun. I'll go ahead and start the disassembly process now. And so the A400 Extreme Plus has a knob here to take the fore end off, and it doesn't have to be twisted that much. Let's see if I can twist it. It only has to be twisted a quarter of a turn, so that's it. Comes right off. This is the part that I bought a few of those just in case I lose one or it cracks because it is plastic. Then the fore end comes right off. So that's your fore end. And we'll go ahead and look at these parts as I take them off. This fore end, I've shot this so much, there's a black line in there from the carbon and the gases coming out of the gas system. But it's also got a port on the bottom here to pump most of the gas out. You're not going to get that black line off, and it's normal wear and tear from shooting your shotgun. So everybody shoots your shotgun and wear your black line into your fore end, right? The next thing is the barrel. So to do that, I normally lock this back. So lock the bolt back. Obviously the gun's empty, okay? Pull the barrel out, and I still got the choke tube in here. So if you're gonna clean the barrel and run some patches through it or a bronze brush, which I don't run bronze brushes through things like this, or rifles. I don't run bronze brushes through my rifles either. I use nylon brushes. But if you're going to run a brush through here, keep the choke tube in for a couple of reasons. One is you can clean the choke tube out at the same time, and two, there's threads in here where the choke tube gets screwed into the barrel, right? And you don't want to run a bronze brush over your threads a ton of times. I mean, why would you want to do that, right? So leave that in there. The next piece of this that comes apart is the gas system, and that is the part that I kind of take extra care in. So grab this little piece and pull it out straight and really easy. There you go. So that's disassembled. On the gas piston, on the A400 Extreme, there's some teeth here that kind of do a little bit of self-cleaning as the thing moves back and forth, right? So it almost cleans itself, which is why there's the black carbon line in the foregrip, because that's where it's pumping some of the junk out, right? So, but be real careful with this piece. This is a delicate sort of delicate part. The next thing is taking out your bolt carrier group. Now, I've locked this back, so hold on to it, press your release, and ride this forward so that it doesn't slam forward and bend your catch there. Okay, so to take this out, you have to remove your handle. So to take the bolt knob out, if you look inside, you have to push this down. This kind of rotates, right? This is your bolt face. There's two lines on this. If you push it down to the second line, it lines up inside, and you can pull the charging handle right out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So there you go. Put this aside, don't lose it. And while we're looking at this, because this is the main part, is how to take it apart and put it back together, right? The rest of it's just scrubbing this stuff off. There's a nose on this that lines up perfectly with the keyhole, okay? So we'll put that back on later. I'll show you how to do that. So the next thing you do is you just pull this whole piece out. Grab by the bottom, just pull it all the way out. So this is the entire assembly, which is really nice. When you're cleaning this, how I clean this is, and I'll talk about it again as I put it back together, how I clean this is I kind of wipe this down and I run one of my wife's favorite towels, rags, through this, through the spring to clean it out on the inside, and then I put a very small amount of the Beretta gun oil that came with the firearm, and I've had this gun for 5 or 6 years and shot the hell out of it. And I still have half a bottle of this. That tells you how much I don't use it. Don't clean this thing, and it still runs great. So I wipe this down, put a drop of oil in there, and just put it on the spring, and then wipe off any excess residue. And then on the actual bolt, don't get oil in your firing pin, I don't know what they call it, but where the firing pin comes out, your firing pin chamber, right? Because you don't want oil and gunk in there slowing your firing pin down. You'll start to get light primer strikes. Gun won't go off. So here I just wipe this down, and on the top right here, I put 1 drop of oil here, and a drop of oil on each of the rails, and then I move the bolt back and forth like this to get it kind of moved around in there, and then I wipe off the excess. This gun doesn't need to run wet like an AR-15 or whatever, dripping oil everywhere, especially seeing how we're going to be sitting out in the weather and the dirt. I mean, I was sitting somewhere this year and I looked down and there was an ants crawling into it on my lap, so I had to get up and dust the ants off, and then unluckily for the ants, a turkey walked out and they all got sent downrange to the turkey. But don't put too much oil on. You don't want gunk sticking to stuff. The next thing that we're going to take apart is we're going to take the trigger group out. This doesn't have to be cleaned very often at all, so if even less than the rest of the gun. So you don't really have to do this, but I'm going to take it out to show this. So there's one pin right here, and my punch seems to have gone on summer vacation. So I'm just going to use a regular old Allen wrench on the end of a piece here. And for the mallet to knock this out, I'm going to use my hand. So you don't have to buy a whole lot of equipment here. So it starts to come out the other side, and then now I'm just going to push it out. So once it gets to a certain point, you can just grab it by your fingers and pull it right out. This could go in either way, but I always push it back in the same way. And it clicks when it goes back in. I'll show you that when we put it back together. So I put it down in the direction that I'm going to push it right back through. To take this trigger group out, I normally click that so that and I'm not sure if you're supposed to do that or not, but to release the tension there. And then grab a hold of the trigger group right about the top of the safety and pull it back towards you, and then forward and out, right? Slides right out. On the trigger group, I kind of just inspect it. I wipe it off. I wipe off the face there, right? Put it back. I mean, there's really, unless there's a part in here that looks like it's worn, like one of the springs looks like it's worn or something, I really don't do a whole lot with this. And I might rub a small amount of oil on the springs just for weather protection, basically, but not enough to drip anywhere or get gummed up. Inside the shotgun, so one thing I'm not going to do, there's a tool that you clip on here and you can clip and pull the whole entire spring assembly out of your mag tube, and I run a towel through there, but I've already done that, and I don't know where I put that plastic tool. It's probably somewhere in the other room. So then inside here I wipe this down, and there's a coating in here, so it doesn't really, it's pretty weather resistant. This gun can be thrown in a river and left there for a while, and it'll be just fine. I wipe this out and make sure that everything in there is clean, but there's a coating in there and it's not even, yeah, it looks fine. So the tools that I use to clean with are, again, one of my wife's face cloths, one of her favorite white towels, some 9mm patches. I got a bunch of these in different bags, and these are really cheap, you know, so this isn't really expensive. And then I have, and we probably all have cleaning kits sitting all over the place. I have a bunch of these cleaning kits, different cleaning kits, but the only thing I really use out of here is I use the toothbrush. That's about it, the brush out of there, and that can be substituted with a toothbrush. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on your cleaning kit. This oil comes with the shotgun, is limited amount of it as you're going to use. It's going to last forever. So we'll talk about the piece. So this piece right here, wipe down the inside. The trigger group, and I've already done all this, so I'm not going to do it again. The trigger group, I clean this off, kind of wipe it off, inspect the springs, put a small coating of oil across the springs. In the bolt carrier group assembly, I run a rag through here to get all the gunk out of the spring and off the spring. Then I run a little bit of oil through there and then wipe off the excess. I put some oil on the actual bolt carrier itself, wipe it off, right, because it moves back and forth. And then 1 or 2 at the most drops of oil inside right here. Move the bolt back and forth so that it kind of spreads it around, lubricates it, right? Making sure, again, not to get any oil in the firing pin chamber, right? Where the firing pin travels, because you don't want gunk in there slowing your firing pin down. Then the barrel, run a couple of brushes through here, and with the choke tube still in it, run a few patches on the inside of, it's not showing, on the inside of where your gas, your piston goes, both sides, cleaning out the threads. And then I don't put any oil or solvent in here. You do not want any oil or anything that's going to attract residue or gunk of any kind clogging up your gas tube, right? So that is definitely a no-no. This has to stay dry and clean, right? I wipe down this end here, put a little bit of oil on it, wipe it off. The actual piston, wipe this down, and I don't put any oil. I put some solvent on here if needed. It's gonna get dirty and it's gonna have black on it here and there. The point is there's nothing rough on here. It's gonna get burnt looking to a certain extent, and you're not gonna be able to stop that. So if you use your shotgun, that's gonna happen. If you just wanna stick it in the safe, it's gonna stay shiny clean forever. But I wipe this down. I don't get any, inside as well, there's some grooves inside, and I make sure that they're pretty clean with a rag. And then I wipe up on the top up here, and I dry it all off. So any kind of solvent that I do put on here to get, you know, hard stuff on there, I wipe it off. This is completely dry and clean when I'm done with it. And I'm done with it now. Whatever's still on here is going to stay on there. And be real careful not to bend these teeth. Okay? All right. Wipe off the excess oil on there. Wipe off the pin, the charging handle, and the trigger group pin that holds your trigger group in. Wipe the inside of this out. You're ready to put this back together. That's it. This whole thing takes, to tear it apart and clean it, if you spend more than 30 minutes on this, you could have been doing something else. So let's put this back together. Turn this upside down. Put in first, like this, till it's flush, and then just set it down. That's it. It's in there. Now, I pushed it out the other side, but I'm going to push it back in this side, this pin. Groove back in. You just kind of put it back in the same way it came out. Start with the side closest to the grip. Make sure it's level, and then just push it down. That's it. should fit in perfectly. It should fill all the grooves. It should look like it fits. And then I go back through the same way that I came out and just, there you go. You should hear it click. It should click a couple times actually, because there's grooves on this pin that fit perfectly into the gum. So that's that part. The next thing is putting the bolt carrier group and spring back on. Let's just slide this there. And then we're going to reverse what we did before. So push it down to the second. Line this pin up where this little nose fits in the key, like a keyhole. Push it down to the second line and push it right in and it snaps. There you go. It's in, no problem. I then pull this back and lock it, but we'll do that in a second. Before I put the barrel back on. Next is to put the piston back in. Treat this piece carefully. Put it in straight and slow. There you go. And once it's past that ring with the teeth on it, just keep pushing it in straight and slow until it gets all the way in and it fits flush. And it should line up and be flush. It should have a perfect fit here around it. So it shouldn't be sideways or anything. If it's sideways, it's in wrong. So next is I pull back the charging handle and lock it rearward. All right. Take your barrel and slide it on. There. Take your barrel and slide it on. Make sure that it's all the way down. There shouldn't be any space between your receiver here and the barrel. If there's some space there, you need to push down another couple centimeters there. And then your forearm, foregrip, whatever, slides right down over the top. And again, it should all fit perfectly snug and flush. There should be no spaces. And then this is the easiest part. Just put this cap back on. One click. And it's locked back. And then normally I set this forward and ride it just the first time just to make sure. Perfect. Function check it a couple times just to make sure. And we're good. Talking about the choke tube. So I do clean the choke tubes off. And after I do this pretty much, I just take the choke tube out and I wipe the choke tube down and all the threads. And inside the barrel, I wipe the threads out inside the barrel as well. There you go. There's threads in here. I wipe those out as well, and I put a little bit of gun oil on there, not a ton. And then I wipe the choke tube off on the outside, and I put some gun oil on the threads as well. And with the threads, you can put some anti-seize in here, but how I do this is I don't use the tool to tighten the choke tube down. I finger tighten this, and when I'm done shooting it for the day, I don't just put it up. I loosen the choke tube back out. I don't take it out, but I loosen it up a half turn or whatever so that it's not in there tight. And I've never had any problems with the choke tubes getting stuck. So that's a tip. Just finger tighten it. That's tight enough to shoot. Right there, right? And then when you're done shooting, loosen it back up like that and leave it. It won't It's not going to seize up if it's not even tightened. So that is the disassembly of the A400 Extreme Plus. It is the how I would clean it, or how I do clean it when I clean it, and the reassembly of the shotgun. If you have any questions, or if there's anything that I didn't cover that you want to see specifically, I'll take the thing back apart and do it. But leave a comment, okay? And I'll do that. Also, if you'd like and subscribe, that'd really be nice, because I'm doing this for fun. I'm not going to make any money out of this. Beretta doesn't sponsor me with shotguns or ammunition. Although if someone from Beretta is listening, you know, send me some guns to treat horribly and test. You don't have to pay me. I'll do it for free. So like and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you can see other videos that I put out. I'd really appreciate it. Everyone have a good day. Thanks.